It's all in your hands. Unlock your potential with your dream team
Welcome, everybody, to tonight's My Thursday. We have an interesting change of pace and a special guest with a great solution. Everyone's going to be interested in what he has to say from multiple dimensions. Mental health, which is a big, big topic across the world. Ever since COVID, it's really been exacerbated. And also AI. Last week, I was talking to many of you who had joined us on Thursday about how to transition into roles that have AI integrated into them to get some experience using AI, working with a company that has AI. So Jack's company, which we're going to talk about today, and their solution is AI enabled. So for those of you who want some experience working with AI, this is a golden opportunity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, My Thursday is featured by Mighty Coach, right? My Thursday. And Mighty Coach is where a professional can go to build their own board of directors or their own dream team of advisors, coaches, trainers, mentors who can help them develop skills, help them develop leadership, and also help them handle challenging situations or exploit some really good opportunities. So you can go to mighty.coach and check out our gallery of coaches and our events. And here's just a small sample of some of the coaches that we have available on our platform. This is a QR code you can scan. I will put this up periodically during tonight's 1 hour event. And those of you who want to follow up later after the event, you can scan this and you'll be added to the WeChat group on CogLeap. We also will take questions from the audience during Jack's discussion, okay? And now I want to introduce Jack Chen, who's the founder of Cognitive Leap Solutions and the founder of CogLeap, and he will explain the difference. And without further ado, I'd like to turn the floor over to Jack. Jack, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Mark, for a very kind introduction, and really appreciate the opportunity to speak to people that have been working closely with you guys, have been your audience, I guess, for probably many years. So shall I share my screen and
Yes.
kind of explain to you guys what my company does? And Mark mentioned about those two companies that I put it on my title. Now I'll explain to you what are the differences. Okay, so let me see. All right, okay. CogLeap is a company that focuses on the North American market. And we also have another subsidiary which focuses on the Greater China market called CogLeap Center, which is headquartered in Hong Kong. So the Cognitive Leap is what I call the mother company that develops the technology and licensed to its subsidiaries, which focus on different market. Again, we have like a CogLeap Center for Achievements, which is a U.S. entity focused on, opportunities, markets outside of Greater China. And the other Hong Kong-based headquartered company focused on the Greater China market, which, you all know countries and regions it covers. So let me just kind of walk you through what we do. Okay. Let me just show you some interesting information many of you probably already know and some probably may not. The economic costs of mental illness would be more than cancer, diabetes, respiratory ailments put together. So it's a gigantic market, right? And some people wonder, say, well, why there's such a massive market that we have not heard about? Because there is quite a bit of a stigma, number one. I mean, it's getting a lot better, but still people usually don't like to talk about some severe mental illness. And the other thing is that after COVID, actually the mental illness or mental health challenges have increased by double digits, and we probably already experienced and probably already heard anecdotally. Okay, so I want to use as one example uh, autism spectrum disorder, which is as probably a lot of you already heard about. It can create a lot of challenges for a family, and the economic cost of this market is about $268 billion in 2015. As you can see, the projected number 10 years after that will be like 461. It's a massive number, and it can cost family, happiness, and also sometimes cost lives, and it also kind of pose a lot of challenges to families. Uh, if you look at this chart, and you probably will be very surprised that about 20 years ago, 1 out of 500 kids was diagnosed with ASD, and now it's one of the 36. And people sometimes wonder why. And of course, one of the key reasons that 20 years ago, people are not so much aware of autism. So they don't really take kids for diagnosis. So this is one of the reasons. The other reasons, could be multiple things that can causing that, which I probably won't, it's too scientific to go too deep into the cause of this. But the numbers you can see just climbing up, and that poses a tremendous challenge to the providers, which is in short supply. Okay, so this is a research study done by companies in the investment business. So, the most popular treatment for ASD children is ABA. Okay. So as you can see, there's a big shortage, about 70% shortage of those trained, licensed professionals. There's a need for 100,000 of them, but there's only 30,000 available. And to train a professional like BCBA, it takes about 7 to 9 years. So, there's no way for this kind of speed of training to catch up with the demand that you've seen from that chart that I showed you earlier. Okay, so those are the two charts. There's it's almost like a rocket shooting kind of increase in the demand of the professionals that treats ASD kids. So, this is why we create our company, Cognitive Leap Solutions, which is, as I mentioned earlier, it's a mother company that focuses on developing cutting edge solutions to treat, kids with ADHD and ASD. So our two main products, the company, by the way, was started about 9 years ago. So our first solution is a revolutionary diagnostic support solution using VR as a technology. VR, to capture the data, and using AI and algorithm to come up with two indexes. So we put a child in the virtual classroom with randomized stimuli, and during the 13 minutes tests, we ask a kid to perform CPT tests. So the data would show, of course, we'll have two indexes. One is attention index, which shows a kid's sustained attention as compared to kids of same age and same gender. For example, if a kid get 20%, that means he or she is in the lower 20% of his or her peers. in terms of attention performance. Same thing for the hyperactive index, which shows their, kind of emotional or hyperactive, I guess, severity as compared to their peers.
Mm-hmm.
So, unlike currently, a lot of those diagnoses use rating scales, which is very subjective. What we have is the one that it's very objective and also it's ecologically valid because we put in the classroom, virtual classroom, which the kids experience every day. So this is how we measure their hyperactivity and attention performance is to put them into the virtual classroom. This is one example showing, if we put a VR on your head, this is what you will see. Okay, so the unique feature I already kind of briefly explained to you. It's an immersive environment and designed for children and adolescents. It's a 13 minutes and it also capture the head and hands movement and assesses level of active and sustained attention and evaluates impulsive and hyperactive behaviors. Okay.
Can I ask who performs that test?
Anybody who gets, let's see, maybe a couple of hours training should be able to, administer the test on a kid. And instantaneously after the test, parents will get a report showing, the kid's two indexes. Here's one example of the report look like. It's not the whole report. The whole report is about 18 pages long with quite a bit of explanation. So when parents read the report, they will fully understand the content of the report. But those graphics, just to show you what we capture and how we trying to demonstrate in an easy to understand way how a kid perform, one like a sustained and active attention, the other is hyperactive. Okay. For this, of course, if any of you want to experience that, you can reach out to Mark or Kathy. We have an office, as I mentioned to you, in San Jose near Cupertino. Shouldn't be too far away from you. As you can see, those are the index that I just mentioned to you about. If they are in the green zone, means that they are in the top 1/3 of all the kids, same age, same gender. And also this one has a lot of dots there, means that you have, green means that you have, you perform correctly in a virtual classroom of a task. And red means it's incorrect, shows impulsivity. And if it's yellow dot, it means, inattention. Okay. So for this, I can have a separate meeting if any one of you are interested to kind of explain to you what does this do and how this VCAT test can help you and your kids. Okay, so one thing, I won't want to use too much time to explain this report to you. I mean, think about this. If a kid, let's see, 10 years old, work as hard and has same IQ as neighbor, but this kid, if perform, let's see, much less in lower grade, for instance, than the other kid, then you probably have to kind of look into what really is the cause of that. If their attention level, has a big difference, meaning that if somebody attention performance, for example, is the 90 percentile versus the other kid is a 70 percentile, and you can tell why, those very similar kid can perform so differently, because attention is the gateway for cognition, right? If somebody has trouble, cannot pay attention to what they are learning, so much of that information get lost. So therefore, for the same amount of time and investments, and a person has lower attention ability will perform less well. Okay, so we do have a solution that can help kids improve attention based on neuroplasticity. It is a a result of many years of research and practice done by a very well-known psychiatrist from Harvard. His name is Dr. Hollowell. And one of his books, Driven to Distraction, is considered the Bible for the ADHD space. He's one of the co-founding members. As you can see here, he wrote 21 books, and it's widely popular, was an Oprah Winfrey show, and globally renowned person. So we're very fortunate having him on board, helping us developing our solution. Okay, so HFS is a something that we start developing about 5 years ago. Okay, so when we look at the shortage of mental health professionals, we will look at how long it took to educate somebody who can treat kids with mental health challenges, a minimum like 7 to 9 years. So I said, well, how do we fill the gap when demand has gone up so much and supply, has to go slow because, it just takes years to educate and train somebody. So we were forced to use technology at the time, when AI wasn't even popular. And nobody even mentioned about this because, at that time, there are some other things that gets people excited, like internet and this and that. So we tap into AI when nobody ever even mentioned about this. That was essentially driven by the supply-demand imbalance, kind of forced us to think creatively. So it took us several years to come up with a solution that worked extraordinarily well. And we initially kind of focus on the Greater China market. The reason being that China has more than 30 million ADHD and ASD kids, but there are only 500 developmental psychologists there. So
Wow.
you're talking about almost like a zero versus infinite kind of a scenario in China. So we enter into the China market right before pandemic, and we currently in more than 60 leading hospitals in China. So we have got really rave review by our users. And starting from a couple of years ago, we realized that the sensitivity of the data, right? Because, we treat kids using digital mental health tools. There's data, there's a lot of kids' data involved. So to really kind of make sure that we don't violate any data crossing border rule. So we totally separate our subsidiary in China. They're run by Chinese nationals, and we become a supporter and also one of the largest shareholders. And if you really look at some of the leading companies in China, like Alibaba, Tencent, and all that, if you look at their corporate structure, you will know that even Pony Ma and Jack Ma are running those two companies, but very large shareholders are actually overseas entities, and we are kind of similar in that structure. Currently, the company CogLeap that I'm showing you here focus on the North American market. We also dab into South America as well. But, just to make sure that we have resources to do some of the, major market well. So currently, 95% of our energy is in North American market. So this one shows you how our AI system work. Okay. In addition to VCAT that I just shown you, we also have a questionnaire that we trying to get a 360 degree overview of a kid's situation. So based on these inputs, our system will automatically kind of push certain suitable activities, training activities to the terminal of the kids' parents, and also to quote unquote coach. Okay. So I'll explain to you how our system kind of after I kind of explain to you. So what I guess the non-coach aspect of the solution look like. Okay, this is the questionnaire and in 3 different categories. We try to understand the kids as much as possible, so we can use that to feed our system to come up with a individualized solution that fits that kids, you know, very well. Okay, so if you try, if I guess use my best effort to show you what our system, hope focus system is like, you could imagine that as if there is a human being who's a loving heart, love kids, but that person doesn't need to have a professional degree, a high school and higher degree, and the ability to learn how to use computer and love kids are the only thing we need. And the other side you can see is really the AI aspect. So, in the absence of not having a well-trained professionals, we are using a regular human being plus our AI to create a super intelligent, uh, treatment specialist for the kids. And this is how we made it work, right? This is how we are able to create maybe millions of provider of services in in almost no time as compared to like 7 to 9 years. And in China, if you try to do a regular way of training, maybe a couple 100,000 those specialists from the base of 500, it probably take many generations and many kids, and maybe hundreds of millions of those kids will suffer their lifetime, without treatment. So this is something we're extraordinarily proud of. I guess this is visualizing what I try to say to you, and I guess just point to a few things. On the human side of that, we have what's called like Dr. Hollowell's 5 steps of excellence, meaning that to enable a change in a kid, you really have to engage and really uh, be the cheerleading person of a kid, connecting with them and encourage them and praising them when they're making progress and so forth. So that human aspect is very important piece of the solution. And the other piece of the solution are we have more than 1,000 activities and bone conduction music stimulating the brain parts to enable change. And all those pieces, in a nutshell, combine into something which over 40 to 60 1-hour session will make a big change in the person's behavior and their attention level and their emotion self-control. Okay, so this kind of give you a little bit of a taste of what those activities are like. Different categories like breathing, balancing, aerobic, and so forth, designed to stimulating certain parts of one's brain. And this is the music, which what we use, engineered music through bone conduction. Okay, so for those kids, if parents don't really learn how to work with their very special kids, and much of the help that we give them probably will be wasted. So it's very important to get parents involved and really help them understand how to work with the kids with special needs.
Mm.
As I mentioned to you, this is a Dr. Hollowell from Harvard. We have a bunch of people, from Stanford. You have like Jeremy Bellinson. He's the founding director of Virtual Human Interaction Lab at Stanford. And Walter Greenleaf is also my board member. He is a neuroscientist from Stanford. And Dr. Albert Rizzo is a top scientist from USC, specializing in using virtual reality for treatment and assessment of mental health conditions. So this is another clinical psychologist from Stanford and some other expert that we have worked closely with. And our company is certified by American Psychology Association to offer CE credits. So a lot of those training are certified by APA. Okay. So I guess I use a bit more time than I told Mark. And this is just a very brief introduction of what my company does. And I'm open to whatever questions you may have. And Mark, I'm turning that back to you now. I hope I'm
Yeah,
not
so
using too much of your time.
no, I mean you're the main course tonight, right? So if you need more time, you just let us know. Uh, I do have some questions based on what you presented. I'm sure the audience does too. So I'll be looking for the audience to type in their questions, and they will have priority. Okay, Lillian, do you want to type in a question? Okay, here's one from Jing Zhang. Has the test been cleared by the FDA? How about the treatment? Is it also FDA approved?
Okay. Um, let's see. We currently pass the administrative review for the VCAT product, and that product is used as a diagnostic support for kids with ADHD. And we already have, let's see, probably 40 or 50,000 data, and we have publicized some of the research in a research paper. So currently, Stanford, Duke, and UCSF and some leading hospital organization in North America has been using VCAT already. But our main idea isn't really trying to make it as a medical product. We wanted to not to stigmatize anybody, but rather using that as a tool for parents to get more informed about the kid's condition. Because a lot of time they go to psychiatrist's office, and psychiatrists could easily say, "Hey, look, you look like you might have ADHD. Try Adderall." Right? If it doesn't work, come back to me. This a lot of time, how they I guess do the assessment is trying to use medication to see if it works. If yes, then you have ADHD. But a lot of time, parents they say, well, I don't really want to drug my kids, and I really want to know more about how you come to the conclusion. So we currently our CogLeap don't operate as a medical establishment, but rather as a non-stigmatized place where people can go in and say, oh, I get my attention score, but with no stigma. So I can go back and say, well, if my kid's attention performance is at 60%, well, it's not too bad, right? So they get something that is useful for them. And for the HFS, it is a software solution, in a way similar to ABA for ASD kids treatment. There's no such category even to get like FDA. We, we basically use that, as a tool and to enhance their cognitive performance and their behavior. It's
Yeah.
almost like a brain fitness center. It's like a brain
So,
fitness center. That's why, we have a coach here. We work with you guys.
so if I understand your answer correctly, if I'm going to paraphrase, that it's more like you're providing very sophisticated, technologically advanced therapy instead of medicine. So you don't have to go
Yeah,
through the FDA. You have a therapeutic way that's augmented by AI to more
that's right.
accurately diagnose and to also using AI to develop a particular course of treatment for each individual student based on their test scores.
That's right. You phrase it perfectly, better than I can do.
Well, I am a communications coach, so if I couldn't do it, I would be
Oh, wow.
embarrassed.
Everybody should sign up with Mark. I mean, whoever want to craft a marketing message for their product, Mark will be the person.
I was a corporate spokesperson for 5 different companies during my career in tech, so I really honed my experience that way. There is a question that came up here.
Mm.
Is the test available also for diagnosis on adults?
Well, currently our test is for kids, let's see, 6 to 13. But however, adults can come in and do a test. I mean, let me tell you how our system works. So we design it for the younger kids using 13 minutes. And for adults, usually adults has the ability to sustain attention longer. Ideally, it should be more than 20 minutes. But however, if an adult come in and test it, and they could use that as a kind of baseline. For instance, if they come back maybe 5 years later, say, oh, my attention performance 10% or 20% less, they can do a comparison among themselves. And interestingly, we have a lot of people coming in to do a test, so we already formed some kind of idea of what's the typical score for, let's say, a 50-year-old person. Right? A 50-year-old person, usually their attention performance, if they're neurotypical, their attention performance will be right around like 80%. And, they are usually hyperactive index, around 90% because, when you get older, you become less hyperactive. So, it is useful. And the good thing is that, if it's a medical product, then you can do it, right? Because, your normative data sets don't cover beyond 13 years. But, as a measurement tool, it's almost like you have a ruler. You measure that. You don't give indication. You just measure it accurately. That's the system does, measure accurately your attention performance.
Now, I know that some parts of your brain develop a lot more when you're younger, and they sort of get fixed as you get older. So even if you could diagnose an adult, would the types of treatments you can provide be effective on adults that are on the spectrum?
Right. So, again, if you look at our assessment tool, basically it is a ruler, right? You just measure the length of things, thinking that way, in a direct manner. And our treatment, we usually don't call like treatment. We call intervention. Sometimes when we present, let's see, in some professional organization, we could use treatment tool. But usually for conversation in this type of setting, we normally say it's intervention. You can kind of you can view our HFS as if it's like a brain fitness tool. So therefore, neurotypical people can benefit from as well. Okay. So adults can use it, and people ask, if like elderly can use it. Of course, elderly we have to kind of redesign some of the activities so it don't pose any danger to their falling, right? Otherwise, think about this. We are using activity to stimulating certain parts of the brain to enhance their different cognitive functions. So therefore, if somebody has ADHD, ASD, or somebody who don't have those challenges can also benefit. And we have some data that we're going to publish pretty soon. Our system is very powerful in enhancing a person's attention performance.
Okay. There's one of our audience is getting their master's degree in ABA, and they're wondering if this is a better way to treat ASD now than having a traditionally trained master in ABA.
Well, this is a great question. Thank you very much for asking. We don't have any data formally collected to compare those two methodology, but we do have, some data that have a pretty strong indication to show that we are very efficient. I give you one example. The ABA person here, I'm sure is very knowledgeable. For kids with ASD, usually, require 15 to 20, 40 hours a week of treatment. In our treatment or our intervention, if we put it like, political correct way, is that we only require uh, 2 to 3 1 hour session per week.
Mm.
And the data that we have collected so far show that approximately 42 sessions after that, we'll see very significant improvements in kids' performance. So which is, we're very encouraged for that, but, we don't have enough data. We don't have the comparison data. Let me tell you why I think that what will be the case. Okay. I think ABA essentially is the deficit base. There are a whole bunch of deficit kids, need to be corrected. And then you correct them, like after them to repeatedly doing and encourage them to doing what's called the right thing. And the way that we approach things is that we accept them as who they are. You have people in my office, we have a whole bunch of books, like Bill Gates, biography, Elon Musk, and you have Thomas Edison, Da Vinci, Mozart. I mean, if you look at all these people, right, they have very strong symptoms that are, almost identical or very similar to people with ASD or ADHD. So those are the move and shakers of the world, right? And I mean, they all behave, I guess, in a way, kind of strangely, right? You look at Elon Musk. So there are something that our neurotypical people may not like, but that's who they are, right? So we accept them as who they are, number one. Number two is that we really see them, appreciates them, encourage them, and identify their strength with them. So they connect strongly with our coach. So when they connect strongly with our coach, it's much better to work with them to help them improve their their challenges. So we basically we don't try to like do a lot of repetition, kind of they hate to do, but rather what we do is that we encourage them to outperform their capability and be better. So it's really stimulating their internal drive to want to be better,
Mhm.
to want to improve certain aspect of their behavior.
Okay, very good. Do you also integrate music therapy as part of
Yes,
the evidence-based approach? Okay.
yes. We call our exercise programs multisensory stimulating, and we use engineered Mozart music using bone conduction.
Wow.
So the music goes in to the kids via the bone instead of like air. So the kid can listen and hear you coach conversation with him or her.
There's also a question about there's some segments of kids who are addicted to online gaming,
Mhm.
and there's some ties between that behavior and some mental illness. So how does the testing accommodate that kind of variable?
Um, well, a lot of those kids with ADHD are addicted, excuse me, to playing the games,
Mm,
right? So through our intervention, if their ADHD symptom improve, their addiction probably will be less. And a lot of those kids are using game to stimulating their brain, and the latest research indicate that kids what's called attention deficit, it's not really attention deficit, it's really attention abundance, according to Dr. Ned Hollowell, because kids with ADHD, lot of time they couldn't suppress the unwanted attention. For instance, when you and I talk, right, you and I can concentrate on each other, our conversation, because I have the ability to suppress, people walking, kind of distraction, like people walking by me, talking and so forth. But for, many kids with ADHD, they don't have the ability to suppress those stimuli. So therefore, they're in their mind, there are a lot of noise, kind of really stressful when you cannot kind of stop from some of the stimuli that come to your brain when you try to concentrate on certain things. So they have to use some other way to kind of self-medicating either a game or sometimes people use coffee, like a drug, right? And but if we help them, a lot of time they probably will find less need to trying to what's called self-medicating themselves. And of course, I don't really want to get into medicine, even though we learn from the best doctors. But as a non-medical establishment, we we don't want to get into the rim of medication, but the way that we stimulating their brain is sometimes one aspect of it is really kind of imitating the medication because the kind of exercise was stimulating their brain enough
Yes.
to have those nutrients to flow in the brain to help strengthen it and make them happier. And I of course I try to avoid using certain terminologies, but I'm sure you get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah. Certain activities, physical activities, can release hormones, right, from your brain,
Yeah.
adrenaline and things like that.
It's
Yeah. So,
uh,
I had a question like the difference between the testing methods and the intervention methods. Do both of those activities integrate VR?
no, we don't use VR in the training. We want a kid to interact closely with his or her coach.
Okay.
That human elements is something we think is essential in the successful intervention of our program.
Okay. And that's why training coaches is an integral part of your solution.
Yes. I'll give you one example. The reason I'm very interested in working with you guys is that, for instance, your coach may coach for the kids or so. Now we have a tool, AI empowered tool they can use to do intervention for those kids. If you find a kid that is procrastinating, you play a lot of games and so forth. When you do a VCAT test, you find out that the kids has issue with attention and also hyperactivity. Then you can let them use the HFS training. So that way you can dramatically help them improve their performance. Of course, I'm not supposed to use dramatic, but we see a lot of those performance enhance improvement that we feel good. Sometimes we say it. Yeah.
Right. So the way it would work with your coaches is they would get trained and then they would get a certificate, they get certified, they get tested themselves, right? And then the clients that come in, the new customers who have a child with ADHD or ASD, they could get matched up through your company, right, to a coach in their area, something like this.
Yeah. Yeah, this is something that we hoping to do. We are finalizing. We're working on some very large scale fundraising. Once we have finished that, we will do lots of promotion nationwide. And I hope one day we are kind of like Uber, right? So you have coach in, let's see, North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and we have somebody, same zip code, say, hey, look, this kid's match perfectly with you, and you have the priority because you have a higher score, feedback from other parents, things like that. So essentially, we want to bring solution to kids' home, and make it available, accessible. And the other thing that we think would be tremendously helpful is that to train ADHD or ASD kids' parents to use a system to do intervention for their own kids at home.
Hmm. Okay. Now, somebody expressed an interest to try the testing and intervention as if they were a patient. Is that part of your training process?
Well, they are always welcome to connect with our team, and we will welcome them to come to, even the adults, we can let them try our VCAT. And, I guess maybe many of those people are listening. Um, I don't know exactly. Northern California, we do have an office in San Jose. and they're more than welcome to stop by. And of course, they'll probably need appointment. I don't want people to wait for too long.
So what they could do, I mean, the easy way is to join the
Yes.
interest group through WeChat.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the most efficient way,
Yeah.
connected with whatever resources through CogLeap, whether
Mm,
it's training or stopping by an office or whatever. So I'd
mm,
recommend everybody on this call who has any interest at all, just scan this QR code now. And that way, tomorrow, next week, or right after this call, you can follow up and continue to ask your questions or
mm.
arrange a visit to a local office.
Yeah.
I have another question that just came in.
Yeah.
So behavior therapists will be treating clients with SIB or other challenging behaviors, and HFS will be treating clients with special talents? That's the question.
Well, again, think about this as a brain fitness program, right? Anybody, if they want to strengthen their brain, their cognition, reducing their impulsivity and so forth, can definitely try this. We have seen people who are very talented use it. But most people, I would say, have some kind of challenges, even though they may not have diagnosis.
Hmm. They may be compensating, right?
Well, I'm not sure the word compensating, but just like you may be Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? You still go to gym, or you may be, a skinny person, or when a skinny person, they also go to gym. So, I mean, thinking that parallel.
Okay. Arnold Schwarzenegger, that's a good one. That's
Yeah,
a
he
great
probably go
example.
to gym more often than we do.
Um, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I go to the gym quite a bit. I'm not quite Arnold Schwarzenegger, not yet. I'm working on it.
Yeah, better fit. I think it's too bulky. It's not, uh, don't look very good on suits.
That's certainly true. Okay. Do we have any additional questions? We have about 7 minutes remaining in our hour. A lot of good questions have come up. Um, I have a question for you.
Hmm.
So you said with your approach, a kid will get 2 to 3 hours of engagement with the solution. Is that 2 to 3 hours with the coach?
Yes.
Okay.
Uh, in person, usually, we have done it remotely and it worked as well, but we prefer to do that face to face.
Hmm. Makes sense. Now, another thing is there's a lot of concern with parents who have college-aged kids or recently graduated kids, and they're having a challenge finding a job. And to me, this sounds like a perfect opportunity, one, to find a job that's in high demand in a high growth area, and
Mhm.
two, to have a job that's deeply integrated into health and also AI, right? Combining those things.
Yes.
So it seems like a great first step on a career if you're a recently graduated um, young person.
I totally agree with you. We can be a bystander in the AI age, or we can be a participant.
Mm,
And a lot of the time, you have a whole bunch of company peddling the AI, but they have not proven their solution, but we have. We have
mhm.
proven that with many, many kids, many, many families. And this is something that is very practical and anybody can pick up and learn to use it. The training only take, around 25 hours.
Mm,
And then, after you pass the tests, and that person will be certified.
mm,
So it's pretty efficient in terms of, gaining a new skill. And again, even though you don't train any other kids, learning neuroscience, learning how brain can be reshaped and changed, learning how behavior can be changed,
mm.
this is already very valuable for those kids,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So, And of course, once you have the skill sets and you can start to train other kids if you have time or have interest, then it becomes a very nice income stream for you.
Mm. Yeah, I coach a lot of professionals, and for many of them, they have concerns about aging out of
Yeah.
their corporate work. And the way I look at this is a great transition opportunity for a lot of people who have those concerns, since there is such a high demand, and it's a market that is expected to have doubled from 2015 to 2025, right?
Yes.
It would be an excellent opportunity for anyone who has those concerns to at least take the next step and explore it and see if this could be a new path for them if they're concerned that their current career path, they may be aging out or their function may be disappearing because of AI, right?
Mhm. I think the other thing that could be helpful for them is that it's an easy entry point for them to explore the AI. And in the future, if they want to find another job or do something else, it could be a foundational knowledge that they can have.
Right.
So, I mean, you can find a multiple usage of that. And also sometimes you can say, wow, now I understand why I think in a certain way. How can I help myself with what I have learned, right?
Yeah.
So, if I sit down with you, I can spend an hour to showing you how much benefit. Like myself, as an example, I was an investment banker doing cross-border deal for more than 20 years.
Mm.
I did some of the largest deal between US and Asia, some of the major transactions. But now, about starting almost like 9 years ago, I switched my path and to do this company. I never ever want to go back again because myself, I find tremendous satisfaction working with kids and family and see them change. Number two is that the opportunities is tremendous.
Hmm.
And also there's much that I learned for myself, even how to manage my own anger and my challenges. As you know, like when you are in the investment banking space, it's a very rough world, and I was very rough to my staff sometimes. And I'm getting a lot better now, even
Yeah.
though I still have a long way to go, but I'm getting a lot better. And my family life is also better uh,
That,
because I'm more of a kinder, gentle person and much less stress, even though I probably work as much as I used to.
no, that's good to know. And building on what you just said,
Mm.
last week when I gave my coaching session to a group, a couple hundred people, and I was getting questions like, I don't have any experience with AI. I don't know how to start in AI. What can I do to start building up any credentials in AI?
Mm.
And I showed them a list of platforms they could be experimenting now to become power users with some kind of platform.
Mm.
And this is the next step beyond that. This is actually being a service provider who's been trained and coached in how to use AI technology to deliver outcomes, right?
Yes.
This beyond what I was able to recommend last week. If
Mm.
you have no exposure at all to AI, you use Chat GPT maybe, this would be like a step beyond that because it'll be in your hands to be using AI diagnosis, treatment, all those kinds of things, right?
Yes. And also, I think there's a lot of discussion about AI harming people, AI replacing people. And this is one example of the AI help people and also work with people instead of displace them.
Yes,
That's the opposite.
yeah,
And we're very proud of this.
it's something that's enabled with the
Mm.
combination. The AI itself couldn't do it. The person itself could do it, but not as efficiently. And putting it together, it's an accelerator, it's a productivity multiplier, right?
Yes, yes. And it's more than the efficiency. It is yes or no scenario. I mean,
Mm.
think about this, right? We're using computer to do a lot of the work, right? And before, if you use human,
Mm.
you won't say that computer make it a lot more efficient of human, because there's totally two different category, right? Without computer, there's a lot of things that we see every day, they're not going to be functioning, right? So human brain has, has a tremendous potential, but it has a lot of limitation. It just even our example, right? We have about 1,000 activities. Our AI is taking, based on kids' uh, results of their, questionnaire answering. We will do a bunch of combination to push those activity to our kids. One session we push 6 activities to them. Even with this, maybe there's only 1 out of 100 person has the ability to memorize 1,000 of those activities and know how to systematically organize in 6 activities each session. And how do I structure that into a more difficult sessions the next time, the next time, next time? The calculation is unbelievable. No human brain can do that. So this is why we need AI. And this is why we're using this. And this is why we don't require, a coach to learn, to know anything about AI or treatment to be able to do a great intervention for a kid.
Mm. Now, what if a coach got their certification and they wanted to start making a living on this, how many kids would they expect to be able to be working with in what period of time?
Well, if somebody, for instance, has a kid with ADHD or ASD, uh, based on our knowledge, they probably belong to a bunch of WeChat groups that kind of discuss about treatment and activities and study and so forth.
Mm.
And that person can start with their own kid, then share with others what this, solution can do for them. And if somebody has entrepreneur spirit, they can probably get hundreds and maybe tens of, dozens of kids for intervention within a year or so.
Okay.
Right.
Is
And of
is
course,
this
this is something that I won't promise anybody because people are different. People are different. They their ability, their interest trying to build business, all varies.
also depends on their location, right? In some
Yeah.
locations, maybe hundreds of people want to coach immediately. In other locations, maybe they
Mhm.
haven't heard of the service yet, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
How much do people get charged for the service, and is it covered by health insurance?
Um, for people who learn the training, it's 9.95. There's no insurance coverage. But we have figured out a solution that using our solution, our practice in combination with ABA, and that could also help with the insurance coverage, which we are currently working on.
Hmm.
We also, by the way, offer ABA. If somebody say, "Oh, I want a bilingual, high quality ABA," they could also reach out to us.
Okay. So you said the cost of the training is 995? Is that what you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that means, all the training material and also supervision, because there's like between 3 to 6 hours of supervision, right? Because when you learn, you have to practice before you can really do it. And, we have a supervisor work very closely with that particular person, up to 6 hours of, supervised practice. So, you know, so essentially, we don't really make money from that training. So we hope that once they become a certified trainer, then they start to train other people. Then they pay us fee per usage of our system.
Okay.
So this is how we will be making money. Is they use the system.
Okay. And do they have to buy equipment, or is it just the training and it's all online software?
This I believe I need to check. Maybe I think 995 also include some of the training materials, except the bone conduction earphone, which a person can purchase it and can listen to music in addition to, for this intervention program.
Mm. Somebody was asking a question about what is the growth rate of patients for CogLeap in SoCal, Southern California,
Mm.
and how many trained coaches are in that area so far? I know that
Yeah,
might be confidential information, but
yeah. We just started to do this kind of training program, kind of recruiting outsiders. So we currently have several dozens of them, and those are growth naturally, not really by a lot of promotional activity. This is why we start to go out and trying to raise tens of millions of dollars so we can promote this solution. And we try to attract a lot of users so we can assign to those coaches.
hmm. Have you noticed in the country any particular region that has a greater concentration of affected children?
Northern California,
Really?
yeah, they tend to concentrate in highly intelligent group of people working for some of the best tech company.
Well, that's interesting. You did mention people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates and people like that. So, um, well, I didn't put two and two together like that.
Yeah.
Well, it's about time to wrap up. If there's any last question, we will take it. Um, if
I
not,
will be in town, let's see, on Monday. And if some of you are interested in being a coach, um, want to learn more, I'll be happy to meet you face to face or maybe, over Zoom as well.
uh,
Along with my partner in Northern California's head, Chen, she's head of our office there.
okay. So the best way to get hooked up is to scan the QR code and then we can pair them up or arrange some kind of a lunch event or maybe a dinner event for those people in NorCal who are interested, right? Maybe that's a
Yes,
work.
yes, happy to.
So one question, I don't know if it's a serious question or just kind of a joke. Do you think smart parents tend to have ASD kids?
I haven't seen any research documents, paper, but if you look at Elon Musk and his kids has severe ASD, and I think Einstein's kid has mental health challenges. I mean, there isn't any research that I've known of, but I guess if you look around and you kind of start to wonder, that might be true. That might be true.
I've often wondered if the penetration of tablets and online gaming at young ages, since that has grown so rapidly in the last 20 years, if perhaps we're seeing the impact of that brain activity surfacing more ASD and ADHD. How do you feel about that?
Well, so far, research shows that the largest factor is parents with a condition. That's the largest factor affecting, um, likelihood of a kid with ASD or ADHD. But there are other environmental factors like C-sections, or let's see, drinking or smoking during a pregnancy, and could be other environmental factors after the kids were born. So, I mean, so far there's no uh, very precise research showing exactly what are the contributing factors.
Okay, thank you. That's very informative. All right, I believe we've had quite a few questions for you. We thank you so much, Jack, for your time. It was really informative. I hope people take advantage of this opportunity or if they have college age or recently graduated kids looking for work, this is a great thing for them to start on, helping others, working with AI, and getting paid for it. It's a good combo.
Thank you very much, Mark, and you are a fantastic host, and really appreciate you inviting me here.
I enjoyed it. Have a good evening, Jack. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you so much. Thank you, audience. Very much appreciate. Hope to see you one day in person.
Take care, Jack.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
In a world so connected, it's hard to stand out. But I've got a secret that I'm about to shout. Building bridges and making friends, that's how the journey of success begins. Surround yourself with diverse minds, experts in their field, so wise. Together we'll conquer and achieve. Customize your growth, there's nothing you can't conceive. Build your network, reach for the stars. Professional adventures taking you far. Communication and leadership, it's all in your hands. Unlock your potential with your dream team stand. Surround yourself with diverse minds, experts in their field, so wise. Together we'll conquer and achieve.